and welcome everybody to this week's exciting episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a book dive
Ooh.
of sorts.
Okay.
Only I don't have the book.
Righto.
And if I did have the book, I wouldn't be able to read it.
Ah, I see. Is it written in Swahili?
It's written, well, we'll cover that. It's actually one of the most mysterious objects in the world. It's kind of, it's kind of one of those artifacts that kind of make history a little bit wrong.
Right, okay, I love those artifacts. They're the best kind.
Yeah.
Just rewrite history.
Exactly, yeah. And this is one. It's called the Voynich manuscript, or Voynich manuscript. I always pronounce it Voynich. I don't know, but it's sort of a Germany sort of name, isn't it? Or Polish, I think. The book is greater than 600 years old.
Wow, okay.
No one knows exactly how old it is, or who wrote it, or in what language.
I've got a question already.
Go for it.
For it to last 600 plus years, what is it made out of?
Vellum.
What is that?
Vellum is like an old school style writing paper that they made using calf skin.
Ah, see, my brain thought leather, but I thought that might...
Yeah, sort of like leather, yeah.
I was thinking that might just be the outside of the book.
I don't really know what the outside of the book is bound in, to be honest. It looks kind of like leather, yeah, from what I've seen of it.
This is mysterious.
It resides these days at the Benecki Rare Book and Manuscript Library. And like I say, we don't actually know who wrote it, what it's about, or what language it's written in. Mm-hmm. No one in its entire 600-year history has been able to read this book or decode it or understand it in any way. Okay, like I said, it's written on vellum, around about 240 pages of it.
Okay.
And it is divided up into sections as far as we can make out. Those sections are botanical.
Okay, like gardens.
Yeah, gardens and plants and stuff. Astrological.
Okay.
Cosmological. There's a difference.
You got into my head there. Straight away my brain went, hang on, that's the same thing.
No. Astrological is star signs.
Okay, yeah.
And cosmological is like your stars and planets and how they all interact with each other.
Okay, yeah. I'm with you.
Then it's got a pharmaceutical section.
Oh, maybe like Chinese medicine kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Old remedies and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh.
It's got recipes for food.
Oh, you had me at food.
I did, and this one I've left to last because I'm not entirely sure what it is myself. It's balneological, which in my research said medicinal springs, which I'm thinking is probably something like, the old Fountain of Youth or something like that. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Balneological, that is called. And like I say, that is our best guess at what its chapters, I suppose, are about.
Yeah, sections of the book.
But like I say, you can't actually read it because it's written in this very methodically written language. And it kind of almost looks like a mixture between the English alphabet and Hebrew.
Okay, a lot of swirls.
Yeah, lots of swirls and stuff. But like you can see that there are sentence structures and words made out of its own alphabet. Mm-hmm. But no one has been able to decode this alphabet or figure out how the language works.
Interesting.
It's also illustrated.
Oh, pictures to go with
it. Yeah. But, I mean, to be fair, the pictures aren't great. They kind of look like someone's given a box of crayons to a 5-year-old and said, no, illustrate that book for me.
Okay.
Right. They're not great. But it does have illustrations of plants and animals. The thing is, the plants don't look like anything that we see here on Earth. And the animals, you can't really identify many of them because they look like they've been drawn by a 5-year-old. So you know what I mean when you get a 5-year-old to draw a horse and it just looks like a sausage with 4 little stick legs.
Yeah.
That's the kind of illustrations that this book has. It even shows, I'm sure on one page I did see a mermaid on there.
Nice.
Which you didn't pick up on your mermaid episode.
No, I didn't.
It's got astrological diagrams. Like I said, the star signs and that
Are
sort
they
of thing.
accurate, those ones?
I don't know.
Oh, I keep forgetting no one knows.
I don't know. Because we just don't know what background this book comes from.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because already I have questions, but there's no answers.
And there are some strange maps that some people have tried to theorize that it could be parts of Europe.
Okay.
But none of these maps have actually been positively identified as, anywhere on this world.
Wow.
So it's a very, very strange book.
That's interesting because even if you had a map, like if you had a pirate, not you, but an actual pirate, they used
Saying
to
I'm not an actual pirate?
No, you are an actual pirate, but a different pirate. So back in the day, they would have had maps with an X, wouldn't they? Treasure maps.
Yeah.
If you had those these days, you wouldn't necessarily be able to pinpoint that treasure anyway. So a map in this book that is mysterious is the same as any other map, isn't it?
It's useless.
Yeah. It's...
I mean, the thing is,
I knew what I meant in my head then.
many, many theories about what this book could actually be portraying. Some theories say that it could have been written by a scientist that came up with his own form of like shorthand coded, so all of his important discoveries and stuff would stay a secret, and they have stayed secret because, like I say, no one can figure out exactly what it says, and it has gone through a lot of people trying to figure it out. In fact, we'll go through all of these people right now. Okay, so the first known owner of the book, and it's thought to have been still at least 200 years old at that point, was Rudolph the Second of the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, and this is
Rudolph.
Late 16th century.
Okie doke.
Yeah. Rudolph was... I did make a little note. He was of the Habsburg family. And do you remember a few weeks ago when we did Sawney Bean and we were talking about how inbreeding can affect your general look? The Habsburgs were very bad for their inbreeding because they were royalty and they wanted to keep their bloodline as pure as possible. Unfortunately, that meant that they were extremely ugly and they had chins like Desperate Dan.
Right.
Massive old
What are they called? The Habsburgs?
Habsburgs, yeah.
Habsburgs. Wow. I wonder if there's any still around today.
No, I think they all actually died out because the last member of the Habsburgs was so sickly.
Yeah, I imagine.
After 14 generations of inbreeding, it was terrible.
Yeah. That's so weird.
So Rudolph the Second, he was the first known... there is a transaction for it, but I don't know where he bought it from.
Okay.
He bought the book for 600 Venetian ducats, or ducats.
Okay.
Right. Obviously, nowadays in Venice they use euros, but yeah, back in the day, ducats were the currency, and 600 Venetian ducats was apparently worth around about 2 kilograms of solid gold.
Wow, that's quite a lot.
Now, that sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'd say
But
so.
the thing is, how much is gold actually worth? Do you know?
I don't know.
I don't really know either.
The only thing with gold is there was that wave in the mid-2000s. Do you remember where they kept smelting everything down? They were like, give us your gold. But they were giving people like a tenner for a solid gold ring and things. And just melting it down.
Well, I wasn't sure either just how much that is worth. Like 600 ducats, 2 kilograms of gold. Sounds quite heavy, but it's nothing compared to an entire gold reserve, is it? So I thought, well, I'll look it up. 2 kilograms of gold today is worth around about £100,000.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a lot higher than I thought you were going to say.
Or $120,000 American dollars.
Wow.
I did not know this beforehand.
No.
I didn't think gold. I know obviously gold is valuable, isn't it? But I mean, crikey, if you're just 2 kilos.
Also, you can. I think it's mainly America, but you can go do gold panning.
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
And find
you can.
flakes of
you
gold.
can over in Wales. I think they do that still.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just find little tiny little nuggets of it.
But because of things like that, I always thought gold can't be worth that much like it used to be.
That's kind of what I thought, yeah, because I know it comes in carats, doesn't it? Like 18 and 24, and it depends on the purity of it. But I always thought it's crazy how you can go to one shop and buy like a gold ring for say 50 quid, and then you go to another shop and a ring that looks fairly similar is like 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
But I always put that down to like the diamonds or the gemstones or whatever, because gold's got to be gold. But 2 kilos, 2 kilos is a lot of gold, and it's a big old slab.
It's a hefty brick.
But yeah, £100,000 in today's money. That's how much it would have cost him
For this book.
For this book,
Wow.
and that's like I say, in something like 1580.
Okay. So I don't. If it's already in your notes, I do apologise. Where does the name come from?
We'll get to that.
I'll get to that.
Yeah,
okay.
we will get to that.
So this is the first kind of recording of this being owned, this book?
Yes.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, this is its first sort of note in history of it being owned and stored.
Okay.
Was with Rudolph the Second, Holy Roman Emperor. He had a whole bunch of other titles as well, but I'm not going to list them all.
Yeah.
And when he died in 1612, the book fell into the hands of Jacobus of Teppence.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, it's pretty
Jacobus. Yeah, okay.
I would imagine in Italian or whatever, it would be Jacobus de Teppence, but of Teppence is the English translation for that. And his signature, where he wrote his name in the front of the book, can still be seen under UV light.
Nice. Okay.
This is confusing to me because his signature has disappeared over time, and he would have just been using standard ink that was available in those days. Yet the ink of the book is still readable, although it's browned a little bit. It's not black. It's not true black. It's a little bit brown these days.
I see what you're saying.
You know what? How did his signature disappear when the rest of the script stays there and all the drawings and illustration, which are in full colour?
Could it be? Obviously, it may be different inks. Is a given. But I'm going to sound really stupid here. I always thought growing up, not anymore, but I always thought growing up, all ink came from squids. So just then, my brain reverted back to like 7, and I thought, well, maybe the other guy's using what is it the Hindu religion? That uses
what's that called? Yeah, I know what you mean. Not like a tattoo, but a temporary when they put the
henna.
Henna, that's it.
So that dyes your skin for like
Yeah.
weeks. So maybe the original people used something similar to that, and then this guy wrote his signature in squid ink, and then
maybe, yeah.
yeah, that's the
Squid
only
ink
thing I
just
can think
doesn't retain itself as long on car skin. Well, anyway, excuse me. After he, I don't know when he died or when he gave up the book, but then it went on to a man named George Baresch, who kept it for 20 years, trying to decode the book. Like all of these people were basically obsessed with this book, trying to find out what
I was going to
secrets
ask.
were in its pages.
What were the other two doing with the book?
Yeah, they were literally, just intrigued by it. I mean, he wouldn't have paid £100,000 worth of today's money to buy a book if he wasn't intrigued by it. But this Baresch, George Baresch, he kept it for 20 years trying to decode its secrets and figure out what it was saying, and he couldn't figure it out. So through an unnamed friend, he offloaded it to I don't want to get this wrong there. Athanacius Kertcher. Okay. Now this was a guy who first became famous for decoding the Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Oh.
Yeah,
so he's
he was
got
an
a bit of-
Egyptologist.
Got a bit of credence to
So
it.
they thought, this guy knows how to crack foreign language, unknown languages. We give it to him. Unfortunately, he hadn't got a clue how to decode foreign languages, and they found out that what he'd actually decoded in Egypt was completely wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no credence then.
No,
Okay.
it's meant to be the first guy to figure it out, really didn't.
Oh, okay. So I'm hoping he doesn't get credit for decoding the Egyptian.
No, I don't think he does. No.
okay.
I think he gets credit for being the first guy to have a crack at it.
Yeah,
But he
okay.
didn't get it right, you know. And he ended up putting the book into the library of the Collegio Romano, which I guess is
Nice.
the University of Rome, where it remained for a further 200 years.
Whew, okay. That's a long time.
Yeah, just
So-
gathering dust. Just
Yeah,
no one's interested in it at this point.
no one's trying to decode it at this point.
No.
It's just
It stayed there until another emperor, Victor Emmanuel II, invaded, and an unnamed clerk, or a scholar, went into the university college, the library, and he was trying to rescue some of the more rare and valuable books. And because of the age of this book, he put it on his little pile of books to save.
nice.
And he took it to the La Villa Mondragone
You've really set yourself up here
with
today.
some bad words. Yeah, I don't speak Italian, so it's not really.
I mean,
helping.
it sounds good to me. So.
He took it to the La Villa Mondragone, where it stayed for a further 46 years, until along came a guy called Wilfrid Voynich, however that's pronounced, and he rediscovered it, and it is now named after him.
Right, okay.
He spent pretty much all of his life trying to figure out this book, and he was an intelligent guy.
And he was dedicated. By the sounds of
Dedicated. He spoke, apparently, no less than 18 languages.
it. Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was born in November 1865 in a city of Telsia in Poland, which was Poland at the time. Nowadays, it's known as, it's part of Lithuania, but at that time, it was part of the Russian Empire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is before like the fall of the USSR and all that sort of thing. Excuse me. Now, obviously, because he was of Polish descent, living in a Russian regime, he kind of got involved with the wrong crowd, a crowd called the Proletaria, which was like a bunch of revolutionaries that landed him in prison, in fact, for what he was getting involved with in there. They were, trying to overthrow the Russians, get their country back and all that sort of thing. He got involved in that. And the Russians sent him to a prison called Irkutsk in Siberia.
Ooh, Siberia.
Yeah, not a very nice place to go. He had a 5-year sentence. He escaped before the time was up.
Oh, man.
He was, he was an intelligent guy. He managed to figure out how to escape prison.
Yeah, but 5 years, would you really risk it? Surely you'd just serve your time, wouldn't you?
Josh, coming from the guy who wouldn't be able to last a week in prison.
I wouldn't. I would think about the consequences afterwards if they caught you again.
Oh, right, yeah, you're getting chucked back in there for even more time.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the rest of your life or whatever.
But no, fair play to him. A very smart guy.
Well, he got away and he escaped. He managed to hot-foot it to Germany, to Hamburg, where he managed to get on some kind of transport over to London, where he decided to put all of that behind him, all his revolutionary stuff, his bad ways, his misdemeanors. He just put it all behind him, and he set himself up as an antiquarian bookseller.
Okay, that's quite the
So,
path.
It's a niche market, but he'd got a good eye for it.
Yeah.
And he was good. He was an intelligent guy, and I think he started making a reasonable living for himself. And in 1912, he was invited to visit the Villa Mondragone to buy books, because at that time, the Villa Mondragone was held by Jesuits, like religious Christians, and they needed dollar.
Right. Okay.
They were desperate. So they were flogging off absolutely any of their assets that they could get any money for. That's how he heard about it. And he was like, do you mind if I come and look at your rare books? They were like, yeah, knock yourself out. I don't mind. And he was quite happy to line their pockets to get hold of some, nice pieces.
Yep.
He bought 30 items that day. Possibly not just books, but at least the Voynich manuscript was on his pile when he walked out the door. I don't know how much he paid for it, but he was absolutely entranced by this book.
And that was the start of his path.
And that's the start of the legacy of the Voynich manuscript. Voynich, however that is pronounced. That is why it is now called the Voynich manuscript. He declared that he had discovered it.
I mean, for everything he went through, like a Russian prison in Siberia and things, give it to him. Why not? I think he's been through enough.
And he spent years trying to decode this book himself. Couldn't do it. But it turned into an obsession. He got help in. He got a couple of Williams involved.
All right, yeah, fair enough.
The first one was William Newbold. He was a philosopher from Pennsylvania University. And he couldn't figure it out. He did, however, say that the book itself, the writing in it, is nothing but gibberish. But he claimed that when you closely looked under a magnifying glass at the actual ink itself, it had a strange pattern within it that he thought might hide some kind of code or cipher.
Okay.
But that turned out to be debunked as well. Years later, experts looked at it and found out that those strange markings were just the natural markings that ink makes because obviously, well, with your tattoos, you know about ink migration over time. It does, and even on paper, ink will slowly expand on paper or vellum, I suppose, and whatnot. And they decided that this guy, this William Newbold, was full of horse manure, and that was just naturally what ink does.
So back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board. Not to be discouraged, he found another William. This William was a little bit more famous.
Okay.
William F. Friedman. He was famous for decoding the Japanese cipher called Purple in the World War II.
Okay.
Which obviously helped, win over the Japanese. Obviously, Pearl Harbor and all that sort of thing. This was all linked with that. And after the war, I think it was after the war, maybe it might have been during the war, he put together a crack team of cryptologists, the best in the country, and they spent, I told you earlier, actually 4 years, but it's actually 40 years.
40 years?
40 years trying to solve this book, trying to decode it and understand it. And at the end of it, he said, it's impossible. This book cannot be solved.
So the two Willies couldn't get it done either?
No. Nope.
Damn. Okay. I'm stumped.
That's the thing. This is why there's been some wild theories about exactly what this language is. Like I say, it's a very methodically written one, and like I said, it looks kind of like a mismatch between English and Hebrew. Actually, Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
You know when the ring gets dropped into fire and it lights up with that weird swirly writing around the outside? It looks a lot like that.
That looks super cool as well.
Yeah. Look, that's the closest that I can think of to what it actually looks like.
Okay.
Some people have called it a hoax.
Yeah.
Some people have. Now, I know you don't go to church.
No, I haven't been for a while.
Have you ever seen on films or TV programs where these religious types say that God is speaking through them, and they speak in something they say they're speaking in tongues?
Yes.
And they're just going not really making any sense.
Yeah.
It's been theorized that the Voynich manuscript might actually be the written form of speaking in tongues. which no one can decode because it's God's language, you know?
Oh, see, I always assumed when people were talking in tongues, they were like kind of straitjacket, kind of mental.
No,
Like,
no, because like religious healers and stuff will speak in tongues when they're healing and stuff like that, won't they?
I got ya. Yeah, no,
I have witnessed it when I was young at church that my parents took me to. When I was little, people speaking in tongues, and it always fascinated me. I was like, why do they do that? And my parents were like, oh, they're speaking in tongues. I'm like, yeah, but what is it? That's God speaking through them. I was like, just sounds like gibberish to me. Why can't God say something that actually, we can understand?
But they're saying it as if they're actually like speaking a language.
Yeah. It is the oddest thing to witness, honestly. It really is.
It is odd.
But that is one of the theories, is that the Voynich manuscript is the written form of speaking in tongues.
I mean, so far, that's probably the answer.
It's a pretty good theory, to be fair.
So, hang on. So, has there ever been a term for the language of God other than speaking in tongues?
I don't think so.
No? Oh, okay. Because I always assumed the language of God and things was like Latin.
Probably because, like, obviously Vatican City is right at the top of Italy, and Latin derives from Italy, doesn't it? It's like Roman language and that sort of thing. And because the Romans just basically enveloped Christianity into their own religion to create the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And so everything was written in Latin, and I guess a lot of people probably think that Latin is like the original God's language, but no, it's this, whatever the Voynich manuscript is written in. It's this. Some people have even claimed that it could have been written by aliens.
Okay.
Because the plants you can't identify them from anything that's here on Earth. I mean, all right, it's 600 years ago that it was written, but I mean, plants don't change that much in 600 years. Same with the animals. We don't know how to identify them. There's lots of people in the illustrations as well, mostly naked women.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, groups of them. They don't look that pretty, though.
No.
They could all stand to go on a slim fast diet, and they're, like I say again, it's the 5-year-old with crayons type drawing. So a lot of people have sort of said, well, must have been a hoax. Maybe Voynich himself has created all this history about it. Rudolph the Second and all that. Maybe he didn't actually, and it's Voynich that actually produced this. But Voynich he was born in 1865, and most of his research was obviously in the early 1900s, because when did I say he went to... 1912. Yeah, so after 1912. So in 1912, he would have had to have got over 240 sheets of 600-year-old vellum.
Yeah, okay.
Find the ink for it.
Yeah.
Write it, draw the drawings and everything. And this is the thing. We have radiocarbon dated the book to between 1404 and 1438.
Okay.
Yeah? Voynich obviously was the early 20th century. If he had recreated this book himself, if he'd made it as a hoax, there would be imperfect... the radiocarbon dating may not have worked. Stuff like that. Ink migration may not...
yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
There's all of these scientific things that we've discovered, that how we can date it and prove that it was genuine, that he wouldn't have even known about it at the time.
Yeah.
And the Voynich manuscript gets every single one of them spot on. Every time someone tries to prove it's a hoax, it just falls flat on their face. Because it is perfection.
Yeah, I was going to say, hoax and prank are very similar to me, and it wouldn't be a prank either, because it's what we talked about before. It's like, why would you play a prank on someone that you're not going to see their reaction or anything?
Yeah.
Like he's dead and gone by the time that we're all talking about it.
Yeah.
That's odd. I'm still liking the idea of tongues, though. I think that's really interesting.
Well,
to me,
that's the thing. Language experts have confirmed that it's like an authentic looking language. You know, it's got, like I say, an alphabet. It's got actually constructed words and variations, and you know, people who know language very well, they actually have studied it and said, no, it has all of the hallmarks of a genuine language. We just can't figure out how to translate it. No one can. And in 2016, they decided to scan it and hand it to artificial intelligence.
Well, surely they've got something.
No.
Nothing.
AI could not figure it out.
So even robots that have their own language of zeros and ones couldn't even work this out either.
No. It's, like I say, this is one of the most perplexing mysteries on the planet. And this artifact should not exist.
Oh, man, that's so mysterious. That is the most mysterious thing you've ever brought to my attention.
And like I said, I'd love to do a book dive on it, but I wouldn't be able to read it anyway.
I'd love to have questions answered, but we can't. So.
This is pretty much as much information as I've got on it. Like I say, if you want to go to, what was it called, the Benecki Library of Rare Books and Manuscripts.
Where is that?
Not entirely. I think it's America now. Not entirely sure which state it's in. But yeah, I mean, you can, I guess, book time to go and study it yourself. But it'll be under lock and key. It's a very valuable book, obviously, worth over £100,000 in today's money.
Yeah, I'm actually quite interested as well in, was it Maxwell Friedman, you said?
William Friedman.
William Friedman.
William F. Friedman.
He cracked the Japanese code that they used during a war.
Yeah.
During the war. So what was...
Yeah, see, here in England, we cracked the Enigma code against the Germans, but the Americans cracked the Japanese code, which is called Purple.
Oh, so would have that been written in just Japanese writing and things? Or was
guess so, yeah. Well, it's radio broadcast, isn't it? So.
Oh, okay. It kind of reminds me of like Morse code in a way as well. Because like Morse code, no, obviously they're completely different and you can work out Morse code. But the fact that someone kind of created a language using taps and dots and things... That's kind of mysterious, even though there's a formula to it and stuff. But like, I wouldn't be able to hear Morse code and understand what they're saying.
No, I wouldn't. I did learn a little bit of Morse code earlier in my life, but I can't remember what all the letters mean now.
So it's very interesting. It's so mysterious.
It is. It's an absolute enigma. This book should not exist on this planet in this day and age. And like I said, I was going to originally bundle this together with like a couple of other enigma artifacts, mysterious artifacts that I could bring up. But this is just such an amazing story. I thought, well, I'll just do a podcast on this one.
Yeah, and it's still to this day is in that same place in the museum kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's now kept in like environmentally controlled environment so it doesn't spoil and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and they've given up on it now.
I think they... I guess there's always probably going to be another team or, another expert that's going to have a crack at it. But all of these people in the last 600 years have not been able to figure it out. And like I say, William Friedman, he claimed it could not be solved after 40 years of trying it himself.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking tongues then.
Tongues, yeah.
But I also thought with tongues, that's the other thing. I always thought tongues was, I don't know if it's horror films that have done that. I always associated them with demons and the devil. I didn't realise it was God as well as like the devil.
It's God's language, yeah.
Yeah, God's language. Wow. What an interesting thing.
I mean, how do we rate this on the paranormality scale?
Well, it's right up our street because it's mysterious.
It's a massive mystery. It shouldn't exist, but it does. Mm-hmm. It's provable. It's an object. And many people have studied it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, such a code that can't be cracked by a whole team of experts in 40 years, plus everybody that tried it all through history.
Yeah. There's two tracks of mind, isn't there? You either go down the route of, oh, it's a load of rubbish, like you said, it's just a hoax, therefore rate it low, or you go down the more superstitious kind of religious route, and you go, well,
was it aliens? Was it? I mean, to be fair, like they always say that the Bible is God's instructions, or you know, God is what God wanted to say. It's God's book. Maybe this one is even more so.
Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine if it is in tongues. It is in God's language, and they just can't work it out. But it's got all the secrets and answers to everything.
Who knows? Anti-gravity, the explanation of gravity, the explanation of evolution. It might be in this book. We just don't know.
Yeah.
All of the secrets and mysteries of all time could be right there in, what did I say, 240 pages.
Yeah, 240 pages, yeah. Wow, okay. Well, I'm going to give it, I quite like the story, so I'm going to give it quite a high one.
Yeah.
Medium to high. It's very intriguing. And I love the fact that it's so mysterious.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many questions with zero answers.
Well, that's it. I just don't know how to answer the question.
You know what? I'm not even going to think too much about it. I'm going in straight away, 8.1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm giving
crikey.
it 8.1.
I thought it would be in the sevens.
No. I was thinking 7.8, but then I thought, you know what? I don't know when we're ever going to come across something this mysterious again. So I'm giving it 8.1.
There's a couple of points, but I don't know, maybe not quite this mysterious. This was going to be my like ending piece if I was going to do the several ones, but because it's such a massive story, I thought I'd just do this as a podcast. I'm going to go... You know what? I'm actually going to go 8.9, and then we can split the average right down the middle at 8.5, and I think that would be quite a nice...
All right. Okay, 8.5.
Nice little riddle.
For the Venetian swells.
The Voynich manuscript.
Oh, yes.
Voynich. I'm not... Yeah, because obviously he was Polish originally, so I'm not sure if it's pronounced Voynich or Voynich. But I say Voynich.
Ah. The venison sandwich.
The venison sandwich, yeah. So if you've got a venison sandwich, write in.
Oh, share some. I love venison.
If you've got a book that you can't translate, don't send it to us.
If you like books.
Well, if you know of another mysterious book or artifact that you think we should cover, it's probably already on our list, but, send in your ideas, let us know. paranormality.uk@gmail.com is our email address. Always, please do like and comment on the videos if you're watching on YouTube. TikTok and Instagram also, you can find us, send us a message if you want to. Do join our Discord. We love more people on Discord. We try and interact with people on Discord all the time. And if you want to have a look at this for yourself, Voynich manuscript is spelt Voynich manuscript, and just have a look at the Google images and you will see exactly what this book looks like and how perplexing it is. And let us know your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Also, leave us an Apple review, because I know most people use Spotify.
Yeah, 70% of our audience is on Spotify, and only it fluctuates between 9 and 13% on Apple. So if you do use Apple, please write us a little paragraph saying how much you like us or dislike us. I don't know.
Because all the other podcasts have them, and we've got one. And I'm like, what's going on? At least 2 would be nice.
Spotify's doing quite well, isn't it?
Yeah, true. So Spotify's easier, isn't it?
But, yeah. But anyway, until next time, I've been Pirate.
I'm Josh.
And this has been Paranormality UK. Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.